Okay. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to MBIC. Thank you for making your time to visit us. Firstly, I would like to explain to you what MBIC's objectives are. First of all, it is to explain to you who we are and how we operate. Secondly, how can we assist you in understanding what it is that you would like to achieve, and how can MBIC assist you in making it a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, Melbourne Business and Investment Corporation is a family-owned business that has built its business over the last 40 years on strong values and principles. We are members of the Real Estate Institute of Victoria and of Australia. I am the principal and founder of the company, together with my daughters Josephine Capalucci, Sonia Canatara and my wife and my son-in-law. We manage a team of property investment specialists and sales consultants and property managers. Our business, Melbourne Business and Investment Corporation, specialises in property investment, residential, house and land packages, townhouses and commercial properties. It is a one-stop shop, including property management. Our mission statement is to assist our customers to become financially independent, and we do that primarily through property. An approach that is different. Ladies and gentlemen, we promote various investment property projects in many locations throughout Melbourne. We understand that each customer's needs are different. Therefore, we develop a tailored investment property portfolio to fit each customer's plan. We may recommend a savings plan, or a single investment property, or a number of investment properties over time. How many succeed in becoming financially independent? At the age of 65, ladies and gentlemen, it is sad but true, only 90% fail to plan and only 5 to 9% achieve financial independence. This is sad but true. Only 1 in 20 achieve financial independence. The question is, how about you? Have you planned, or have you planned to fail? How Australians retire at the age of 65? Ladies and gentlemen, it's very sad, but 66% of the Australian population fail to invest and live on their pension on a week-to-week basis. 76% of the Australian population at retirement retire on $20,000 per annum. 21% on 21 to 50,000 and 3% over the 50,000 per annum. Did you know what the singles pension is? $284 a week. $14,794 per year, and the couple's pension is $525 per week. Could you lead a comfortable lifestyle on that? Not at all. Our research shows that 80% of our customers did not believe they were in a position to invest until they became involved with MBIC. And ladies and gentlemen, only 17% of our customers that were actually looking to enter into the property market believed they had the capacity to do so. What are the reasons? There are many reasons. Potential interest rate increases, high property prices, I left it too late, I am too old to invest, I'm too young to worry about, I can't afford to buy now. And in my 40 years in the industry, I have heard them all. But the biggest reason, ladies and gentlemen, is fear. Forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. And the second is lack of knowledge. And if you gain the knowledge, your fear will disappear. There are not only fun and lifestyle reasons to become financially independent, ladies and gentlemen, but there are more urgent reasons, such as everyday living and unexpected health expenses. Because the government will not keep us during our retirement in a lifestyle that we have become accustomed to during our working years. We will not receive an adequate pension, if at all. How does this relate to each one of us? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we need to set realistic goals for what we want to achieve. But those goals will differ depending on our age, our income, our financial position, our planned retirement age, and the desired level of financial freedom that we wish to attain. Super is not so super. Ladies and gentlemen, there's plenty of articles that come out on an annual basis on how is your super working. The average Australian will retire at 65, ladies and gentlemen, on $183,000 for men and $93,000 for women at 60 years of age. Our median, we require at least $40,000 per annum to live on. How many years can you live comfortably on that? Do you have a retirement plan? Well, recent research indicates that not only the number of people expecting to rely on the age pension has increased more than a third over the past 4 years, but 40% of those people surveyed, aged 30 to 69, believe their savings will provide sufficient income guarantee a comfortable lifestyle in retirement. 7 out of 10 now acknowledge that they will require a minimum of $40,407 a year for a single person or $55,000 for a couple to have a reasonable lifestyle in retirement. Continuing our super performance, ladies and gentlemen, our superannuation fund, since it has been introduced in 1992, has had appalling results, with some of the funds defaulting on average 13% for the year to June last year, to the 30th of June, and more aggressive funds have lost up to 20%. And you should check your superannuation performance and then consider taking control. Did you know, ladies and gentlemen, that under the new superannuation rules, you can now use your superannuation to purchase an investment property? Well, MBIC has researched how you can take advantage of the new changes to the superannuation laws since September 2007 that allows managed super funds to borrow for property. Use your super fund to buy property. Why property is MBIC's vehicle of choice? Simply, ladies and gentlemen, because we understand property by the statistic, past trends, past accounts, trends, and all of the indicators validate why property as compared to other sources of investment. Sources of wealth, when you look at how property performs, there's no other medium of investment that will give you the same returns as property, and these are 2 years. And when you look at it, whether media, investment, retail, manufacturing, rural, shares, or any other form of investment. Why is that? There is only one word: leverage. Because how you can leverage a small deposit in property and your returns on property will outstrip every other source of investment. Melbourne outperforms every other capital city. Ladies and gentlemen, Melbourne has led the way, and as you can see, the growth that we've had, and these prices indicated why we had our correction in 2011 and 12. Let me tell you that in the last year, in 2013, properties in Melbourne have led the rest of this country with an increases of capital growth of at least 6%. Why properties will not go down? Well, I've just been to the United States of America, Italy, Canada, and I know why this will not go down. When you look at the nominal GDP of Australia, and I looked last night and I checked with the last night on the news, and there was a chart similar to this which shows the United States of America GDP is going down. Well, the Australian GDP continues to rise. The population growth, and I will draw your attention to August newsletter of MBIC and how I have found Australia. Our growth is continuing to grow at the rate of over 300,000 people a year. The US and all of the major cities in America has been losing population over the last 10 years. When you look at the rental vacancy, ladies and gentlemen, and in Australia, and here at MBIC, the rental vacancy at the present time is only around 2.5%. Rental vacancy in the US is 8 to 10%. And more importantly, the mortgage delinquencies are non-existing here in Australia because of our strict criteria that our banks use, and the US has got between 3 and 6% delinquencies on a 30-day basis. Ladies and gentlemen, renew the Australian dream. When I started in real estate in 1973, my first sale was only for $8,500, and people were still telling me that the median sale price properties was high. We are now 2 bids away from a median price in Melbourne of $600,000. And in those days, we had a quarter-acre block of land, or 1,000 square metres as the average. Today, we are getting blocks of land down as small as 200 square metres. Ladies and gentlemen, how do we use our income? Research indicates that on average our income is divided in the following ways: 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. For those of you that haven't heard this expression, this is how it works. Before we get paid, we as employers also take our tax from our employees, and you pay tax, and 1/3 goes to our Australian government. Then when you look at, secondly, 1/3 pays for our mortgages. If you look at the bank's criteria, rental works in the same manner. People that are paying rent are paying 1/3 of their income for rent. And the banks will use 30 to 35% of your wages that they will assess you on how much you can afford to borrow. And third is the cost of living. And if you compromise one or the other, ladies and gentlemen, the only thing you are compromising is your living standard. So if you deal with MBIC, you can be safe and sure that that won't happen. Example of a diversified portfolio. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to some may also have super fund separate to this. Ladies and gentlemen, we recommend that your property investment should be 35% of your total portfolio, irrespective of what is your worth. Your owner-occupier is, beg your pardon, is 35%, your property investment is 50%, shares only 10%, and personal item the balance of the portfolio. And that is how we would structure your portfolio for your investment property. Ladies and gentlemen, very important to understanding some issues relating to property investment. And one of those is the movement of interest rate, and secondly is understanding the investment cycle. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not an annual clock. It is a clock that has 12-year cycles, and from 12 to 6 can take 3 to 6 months to go, and from 6 to 12 can take several years. We are now in the 3rd year cycle, and we are now back here, and we are nudging at 10. We are now in booming conditions. You only have to see the auction results, 75% clearance rate every week, and increases in the property on a weekly basis. Movement of interest rate. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have the lowest interest rates on record. I have been in the industry 40 years and never have experienced the interest rates we have at the moment. These are as of the 7th of May, and we need to update these as we've had another 2 interest rate cuts since then. And you are looking at the best time to buy or invest your own home, first home buyers, and this is the opportunity of your lifetime. You should look at this time in fixing your rate a minimum of 3 years. These are 2 of the factors that are important in property investment. How they made their money. Ladies and gentlemen, suffice to say that 59% of the world's richest people have made their money out of property. And this is where the rest of the investments shows. 59% through property investment. And the next one, resources, at 25%. Past accounts prove, ladies and gentlemen, that property has grown for the last 900 years in England at the rate of 9%. Here in Australia, simultaneously for the last 100 years, property has also grown at an average rate of 9%. And this will continue for the next 14, 15 years. Why? Simple criteria, supply and demand. Ladies and gentlemen, migration boom. We are, as of the 23rd of April 2013, 23 million, and we are growing at the rate of one person for every 1 minute and 17 seconds. And Melbourne population is booming and growing at the rate of 1,500 people a week. I asked the question, what is this going to do to the property? This is evidenced by everyday news articles, by the clearing rates at auctions on a weekly basis. The place to invest, ladies and gentlemen, the Australia's top growth cities, and Melbourne is at the top, and this was evidenced again last week. And the population as of May 2013, we are now at 4,250,000 in Melbourne, and the highest population growth from 2001 to 2013. And I make a prediction that by 2020, Melbourne will be bigger than Sydney. Ladies and gentlemen, acute shortage of home. Why is this? Well, our past treasurer, Mr. Swan, he made the statement, the National Housing Supply Council figures for this year show a 202,400 housing shortfall. And this is expected to continue, and by 2014 we will have a shortfall of homes of 308,000 homes. This is why the security of property investment, risk-free capital growth potential here in Australia. And this year, this chart reflects the reason why. With our population growth, ladies and gentlemen, and our construction growth is not keeping up, and this has been and will continue. We have charts that go to 2020. We have another 7 years before this matter will become equalised. Okay, prices since 1970. Ladies and gentlemen, these are prices, and in my history, 40 years of my time in this industry, property have doubled every 7.25. This was in 2012. We are now, as I said, 2 bids short of 600,000. Even during the worst property market in 2013, we have still grown another 6%. Purchase versus rental. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have created 2 charts, and I did one about 20 years ago, and it worked right on. I was within $5,000 of the difference. And I've done another one here, and this I've done about 5 years ago when the average price was around the 300. If you were to purchase a property for 300,000 on a mortgage, principal and interest mortgage, over the period of 25 years, you will pay, ladies and gentlemen, $613,000. And taken this property growth at 5%, which we know is a very low and conservative figure, this property will be worth $1,015,000 at the end. That's what you'll have if you make the effort to purchase as a versus renting. Likewise, if you take a rental property, ladies and gentlemen, I go back for when I started in real estate 40 years ago in 1973, the rental was $18, $20 a week. The average rental today is $380 in Melbourne. So ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the rental, taking it when we did this chart at $300 a week, And over the same period of time, you are going to pay $744,000 in rent. Over nearly $150,000 more than you would pay if you were buying a property. And guess what? What do you own at the end of that period? Zero. Is it worthwhile considering purchasing versus rental? No contest. This is how it works to show you in a chart. If you purchase a property on principal and interest over 20 years, 25 years, you will see on the minimum payment you will pay that property out and your capital value is $1,044,000. Ladies and gentlemen, MBIC, we ascribe to the von Thunen theory. Johann Heinrich von Thunen in the 1850s, he worked out mathematically where to buy and why. He worked it out, and we're not going to show you mathematically, it's too hard, but we are going to show you where you can gain the highest rent and the highest capital gain. If those growth areas are realised in those areas closer to the centre of a major metropolis, and this is, we only have two metropolises in Australia, and they are Sydney and Melbourne. And you can see we're Melbourne City, and in that 20-25 kilometre radius where MBIC has all its projects that it is marketing. And this is what we recommend for you to consider. Ladies and gentlemen, where to buy and why. And all of these charts have been created and have been worked as example by our company. We recommend, and this chart applies to every property in Australia. All you need to consider is the area and the price range of that property in that given area or suburb. And we recommend where the majority of the population is looking to buy at any one time, and that is in the medium price range of that district. Because if you buy in the top range as an investment and the market corrects at that particular time, that is the first market that will be affected. And if you lose the tenant, you will be paying the mortgage from your pocket. We do not recommend in the lower range where 17 to 18% of the population can afford to buy or to rent. You look at the buy or the rent simply because this is the area where you could end up with a tenant from hell, as we see from time to time on our television programming. Parameters required, ladies and gentlemen. When you are considering to purchasing a property, the bank will look at three areas for you. You'll need equity or cash as deposit. You will need to satisfy the lender's criteria, that is financial serviceability. And the third, the most important, you need to give that property time. Is this all we need to know to achieve success with property investment? The answer is no, ladies and gentlemen. We also need to understand some of the financial issues relevant to property investment, such as gearing, negative gearing, positive gearing, and neutral gearing, for those of you that haven't heard it. I'm very happy to sit down and demonstrate it to you. We need to look at the good use and the structure of your financial structure. And thirdly, budgeting, very, very important. What is negative gearing? Well, look, it's a simple phrase. It is when you look at a property, investment property, where your rental income is lower than your interest expenses. Where we recommend is the neutral gearing where possible, and where you have depreciation through non-cash item. This, a genuine structure, is genuinely tax deductible. If you look at absolute negative gearing, is a recipe for disaster. That is a fallacy that people say, I have bought a property for negative geared, and that will ultimately limit your potential investment that you can make. Very important to consider. In short, you may consider paying off your mortgage earlier. I am also a great believer on mortgage reduction. If you can put in $100 extra a month, it will reduce your loan by as much as 5 years. If you look at an extra $100 a fortnight, you could save about 7.5 years, and that depends on you. And my advice is to reduce in the initial years as much as you possibly can. We have 3 golden rules for property investment at MBIC. 1, plan your investment conservatively and correctly. 2, buy the right property. And 3, give your property time to grow. What is the most important aspect of property investment, ladies and gentlemen? Well, you can go to any auction, any weekend, any day of the week, and I, as an auctioneer in my past life, have done this. Location, 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 or position, position, position. Well, ladies and gentlemen, true, but that's not the whole story. What is more important aspect of a property investment, alongside with location, we also look at the following criteria: that the property will give us continuing strong demand of both tenancy and sale. And this is not just for now, but also for the foreseeable future. What should we as property investors expect from our assets? We are investors in property as well as property advisors and consultants at MBIC, and what I look at returns by way of capital growth, income growth, and the confidence of income. I look for security in my asset and investment, that the assets to increase their value, and I look at the flexibility that should my circumstances change, and mark my word, ladies and gentlemen, over years your circumstances will change, that you are able to sell your investment within a reasonable time should your circumstance change, so that you don't lose your family inheritance. What is your minimum retirement goal, ladies and gentlemen? Well, as I said earlier in this presentation, that 7 out of 10 people now believe that we need at least an annual income of about $40,000. Well, how can we achieve that? How many properties do you think you need? 3, 4, 5? I get all sorts of questions. Ladies and gentlemen, you own to achieve $40,000 on a 5% annual return income. You only need 2 $400,000 properties. 2. And that is easily achievable by anybody that wants to become financially independent in their retirement. Ladies and gentlemen, how do we do that? Well, we have a strategy, and over my 40 years in this industry, I have made hundreds and hundreds of people financially independent, and some of them millionaires, multi-millionaires. Ladies and gentlemen, our recommendation, people have bought 6 to 10 properties over 10 to 12 years. If you buy one property in year 1, and you keeping in mind that property doubles every 7.2 years, and then in year 3 or year 5 you buy a second property, or you buy a third property in year 7 and 9, and in retirement, it doesn't matter whether you have 3 or 4 or 6 properties, you sell 1 or 2, reduce or clear your mortgage, and you'll have 2, 3 or 4 properties. And that is an achievable target for any working person. Always remember, ladies and gentlemen, you do not have to be wealthy to invest. However, you have to invest to become wealthy. Property strategy plan. Guys, do you have any questions for me on the contents of our presentation? Is there anything that I have not explained properly to you? Any question? Guys, my role as a property consultant is to know just where you are today, but to assist you to achieve your future dreams and goals In order for me to do that, I need to prepare a plan, your investment plan. I will need to ask you a few questions. And as a group, I will not do that. I will do that on a one-on-one basis, because what I will be asking you will be confidential questions about your financial position and your family position. Are you comfortable with that? Yeah. Thank you. All right. Okay, gentlemen, at this stage,